Okay.
The idea of having the caravan from Fairfield to the Iowa State Fair started back when the Jefferson County Fair Board here in Fairfield threw out the idea, how about reenacting the caravan that took place in 1954 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Iowa State Fair. Since 2004 is the 150th anniversary, let's commemorate that and let's have a caravan from Fairfield to Des Moines. Now the reason Fairfield is important is because the first Iowa State Fair was held in Fairfield, 1854, and in fact the second one in 1855. So that's why the Jefferson County Fair Board was instrumental in starting this.
That involves leading over 400 people that some know a lot about horses and some know very little about horses. Over 123 miles.
We met every month for those 18 months, our core committee, in putting together an event of this magnitude, which ended up with 400 people, 300 and some horses, and about 50 wagons that we took on the event.
It took 2 years approximately to pull this thing together.
And most people don't understand how much money it costs. Our projected budget on this horse caravan was $150-some thousand.
Oh, we had to go and meet with each county sheriff and engineer's office and city police and all that. You had to make sure you had all of that lined up when you came through their town or their county.
I suppose maybe it was better organized this time.
When we take on something as a fair board, we usually do it, so I don't know.
That's right.
Just coming into Oskaloosa, crossing over Highway 63. Oh, yeah. You're looking good. You're almost there. We're halfway. Here's our last wagon, it looks like. Doing windshield wipers. Oh, good. Wonderful. So how did your day go?
Well, it went real good. It went real good, and yesterday went real good. And we're looking forward to having another good day tomorrow.
And so we look forward to a good day tomorrow, and it's just been really exciting. The days have been long. We've been getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and going till dark, so it's been fun.
We're trying to cook homemade ice cream, but it's not cooking very well.
Yeah, by the end of the day, we was shot. I mean, who goes to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night? But when you get up at 3:30 in the morning and have to feed a horse, water a horse, saddle him, eat your breakfast, them camps at 9 o'clock at 9 o'clock at night, the camps, it was just total black. Total silent, you know. People was wore out.
There were some sore people when we got into Tumwa. Real sore when we got into Oski. Yeah, we had one horse that went down just outside Oski.
Just from being exhausted?
Exhaustion, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I'm glad I did it, but it was very busy. I mean, you would get up at 3 o'clock, they'd start moving trailers, and then breakfast would come in like at 5:30, because they would get up and they'd move the trailers, and then the school bus would follow, leave the trailers, bring those people back so they could eat breakfast and get ready to ride, and you would be pulled out by 7, and we tried to be completely gone and on the road by 7:30.
They asked me how far, I'd say 5 miles. It'd be 10, 15 miles. How much further? 5 miles. One guy, he says, you should have been a congressman.
And 4 days riding, hard riding, we're not accustomed to it, and we was all very sore, you know, myself included. Yeah.
And how in the world did you two hear about this?
Oh, we've known friends that's going on it, and it's been on last 50 years ago, and they've talked about it, talked us into doing it.
And you were on the 1950 Caravan.
Yes, that's right.
And you rode, or what?
I rode a white horse.
Should I ask you how old you were at that time?
34.
34. My gosh, you're 84. There you are. Oh, wonderful.
When Irish eyes are smiling and the whole world's bright and gay, and when Irish eyes are smiling, sure they'll steal your heart away. I'm an Irish tenor.
You really are. You got some range there.
Yeah, for 80 years old, I guess I'm lucky. These two majorettes came up to me and they said, "Sir, could we feel your beard?" And I said, "Certainly." And so they run their fingers through it and they said, "My, it's so nice and soft." And they said, "Thank you," and away they went. But see, beards weren't as plentiful in those days. Didn't like now. A lot of people grow mustaches and beard, but back 50 years ago, like when you walk down the street, my wife can tell you, she'd walk behind me because she didn't want to walk with me, and like some women would say, "Well, my husband, he'd sleep under the bed," you know, and stuff like that. The National Guard had ovens and stuff, and they cooked like the evening meals and stuff. And I can't remember about breakfast though. But sure they did. And then the National Guard also set up latrines. This time they had moving toilets, but in those days, where they just dug holes and put a tent over it.
And of course, this year with the Iraq situation, we asked the Guard to help us, but they said no, they would not be able to. And then we knew why, because you know, in the fall, the 224th were activated.
The thing that I recall about the first trip that we made was that it was so much simpler the first time than it was the second time. Of course, Fairfield didn't have a radio station. There wasn't any really local TV station to publicize it, but it was well organized.
I didn't realize how much there was to be done. I just came home, got on a horse, and rode, you know. And this time, every day, I would realize all the things my folks had to do. If I'd had a horse, I don't know how I'd have got it taken care of this time.
Well, I remember with Daddy, of course, as a kid, to toughen up the team of horses, I think every day he took a wagon, and there was a creek bed down not too far from us, and he'd drive those horses down the road, load it with sand in the wagon, and then come back, because I'd go with him a lot of times. I don't know what he did with all the sand he hauled, but he broke the horses in that way, and I don't think he had any trouble with the horses on that trip.
The team of horses that pulled our wagon in '54 just came out of the field and went on the ride. They had been worked, but most of these horses that went in 2004, a lot of them horses hadn't been rode enough. They weren't in condition. And we had probably more horses go down in 2004, even with the cool weather, than we did in '54. So it's different, 50 years difference.
Yeah, I had a cell phone stuck to my ear 70% of the time and a two-way radio going off 100% of the time.
It was unusual to see him, the horseback rider, the trail boss, riding along, talking on his cell phone. We didn't have that even 50 years ago.
No.
So. Well, and the difference, talking about the difference between 1954 and 2004. In 1954, I mean, we slept in the wagon, or people slept in the barn if we were at a campground or something. This year, people had their support vehicles. Some of them had campers that followed along, and they slept there.
And they had stanchions 50 years ago. I mean, they had
rope ropes
up
and
with
2x4s.
Something, 2x4s to mark off each stall for each horse, which was nice.
In '54, about everything we had, we carried in our wagon. 2004, everybody has a livestock trailer, a camper, and all this. The support vehicles is one of our main concerns and problems, to get them all moved from one place to the next. So 2004, we didn't rough it. The person that rode all the way probably had the same feeling, but the support group was totally different.
I had to find out the shortest route without taking the highway, because yes, going up 34 and 163 would have been there in no time. But for safety reasons, I chose gravel.
That time we drove just along the edge of Highway 34, and traffic wasn't like it is today, and it was like a parade of cars traveling so they could see the caravan. And now people wouldn't be that patient, I don't think, to...
There were no problems.
Well, of course, we ran into people whom didn't like us cluttering up the road. About every day we got a cussing from some of the people coming through Iowa that on 163 basically is where it was. You know, they'd come along and they'd make them stop and wait a while for, you know, and some of them, hey, cluttering up the damn highway, and they'd rave, you know.
We take the earth and everything for granted so much. I frequently say to my husband, now look, nobody but a God could make this, but we saw that's all we saw all the way up there was all the things that God makes, trees, grass, road, whatever. Mm-hmm. And we zip past it and don't think about that very often.
When you're on a horse and in them wagons riding down the road, you got nothing else to do. You don't have any radios, you don't have anything, so you communicate with your family.
There were no telephones, there were no radios, bring me this or get me that. You know, and it was quiet, nice and quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You see what's out there, you see the world, you see what's around you. It's not going by 100 miles an hour. Yeah, you drive by a cornfield, but you walk by a cornfield and you can smell it. You can hear the wind blow through the corn. You know, it's just a total different.
As a kid in '54, I think it seemed like this is just the way the pioneers did it, you know. And this time, I realized all the work that went in it too, and the committees
and even if we had a rough time, whatever, nothing like the pioneers would have had going through.
Oh,
there wasn't any Hy-Vee fixing their supper when they got there. I mean, you think about that. Some of the women look so old that you see pictures 50, 100 or more years ago. They look so old and almost like men, but they had to be tough or they'd never made it.
Mm-hmm.
after you get started and things settle down, it's such a peaceful, just makes a total peaceful day out of it. You just go back so many years and just like you're in a total different world.
You know, I wouldn't want to do it all the time, but it was fun for those 4 days.
I'm ready to do it again.
Sun isn't even up yet.
We stopped outside of Pella, and we all lined up and we paraded in town, and people were just doing on. So usually at dinner time, I had a little chat on the microphone before we left after dinner. I said, hey, everybody looked great coming in. I said, line up for parade formation. I said, we're leaving town the same way we come in. I said, we look great. And everybody cheered and hollered, and it was pretty neat. We did look good.
That was the largest crowd to see us at night was in Monroe. In fact, we got so many people, we had a traffic jam on the gravel road in front of our sign.
We led the parade. I would never do that again. I mean, it's a great honor to be the wagon master and go in the lead, but we never got to mingle with the other 390 people that was there. If they didn't come up front and talk to us, we never met them people.
And they were having fun, because I was back and forth in the line. Oh, and that ride I figured I probably rode 180 miles.
Just
back and forth. Yeah.
And how was it?
It was fantastic.
Okay, folks, how was the day? Long day.
Is it over?
Can you...
"50 years ago, I was 9 years old.
I was 14 in '54.
I was 23, I figured it up. I had just graduated from nursing in the early part of August, and I'd come home in the spring to practice riding the horse that my dad had bought. I came home from graduation and got on the horse and went to Des Moines. The first day I thought I was going to die because I hurt so bad, but somebody said, well, the first day's the worst, and it was. So.
And she had a beautiful Palomino.
Yes.
It was beautiful.
He was a dear.
Yeah.
I'd like to have another one like that.
I was 9 when I went. I rode in the covered wagon with my folks.
I was young enough at the time, I had to get permission from my parents to make the trip.
Where the kids park their cars at the high school, now that's where we waited to start the parade, and it was raining for the parade, the caravan.
The other friend and I rode our horses from Dowds to Fairfield the day before the trip. And we slept on the ground overnight. And we got up in the morning and we rode our horses up around the squares where the original caravan started from.
We got to Oskaloosa, and that night it just absolutely poured.
Yeah, Oskaloosa was a storm, and it really thundered and lightning.
And that night it rained 4 or 5 inches in a couple, 3 hours, and those people had set up their tents, and it wore, some of them never did find their watches and different stuff.
It really was bad. And the next morning, the tent for the meals, the National Guard served all the meals, and I think it would have been blowing down. So I think we had coffee and donuts delivered to us. And
then some group along the way fed us breakfast.
That could, I don't remember that.
I don't either, but I read it in the, I remember reading it in the paper.
We had an Indian raid that morning because as a kid I was going to the restroom and coming back, and all of a sudden here came a band of Indians riding through the campground. It scared me.
But I think the Oskaloosa, you see, there Indians are there. That's their mascot. So anyway, they were making us think we were attacked by real Indians. Plus, but the storm was much more serious than what the Indian attack was. But
it was just a lot of fun. I remember all the people riding. There was people who rode behind us were the Bagbies, and they did a lot of horseback riding, and so he was fun because one day he said to us, he says, "I'll bet I can play Yankee Doodle Dandy backwards." And of course, being kids, we said, "Oh, no, you can't." He said, "Yes, I can." And we said, "Show us." So he turned around and sat backwards on his saddle and played the harmonica, I think, or sang, I'm not sure, but it was, you know, things like that you just remember and have good memories of it.
The reason I was in such popular demand, I had that red beard, and I rode Trixie. Trixie was an Indian pony. You know, I mean, they're a little smaller, but Pinot, you know, with the different. And she was a very talented horse, and if you were riding her and you would stop and take the reins and slap her real gentle on the side of the neck about twice, and she'd just go right up in the air. To ask the crowd going ahead, "Where's the guy with the red beard?" And so then I'd get up there, well, then I'd tap her on the side, and she went there. I was regular, like these two ladies I heard walk behind me, and they didn't speak very pleasantly about it. See, what did they say? There goes that damn. Well, fool, but that isn't what they said. That's what not counterfeit, not a lumberjack. Who is it that puts on, what do you call somebody that puts on?
We came into Des Moines, stayed in Des Moines at the fairgrounds on the north side, and then we paraded the next day in front of the grandstand. It was kind of neat to see about 50, 60,000 people sitting on the sides, you know, watching us, and we had a big enough caravan that we almost lapped the track twice.
There was a lot of people, and to be riding around that racetrack in the wagon and look up and see all those people, it was just amazing that that many came out to see it.
But I don't remember who it was.
Yeah.
And when I got right square in the front of the grandstand, I turned Trixie, and then I tapped her on and she reared, and then I shook my hat at the crowd and got a standing ovation. They all stood up. So I remember that distinctly. Grandstander, that's what them women said. There goes that damn grandstander.
avenue with 200-some-thousand people.
When we were driving, coming in on the fairgrounds, and all those people crowding around, and pretty soon somebody would say, "Hi, Loretta," and I'd look, and there's somebody from Fairfield, and it brought tears to my eyes to think that many people. And I guess, you know, after 4 or 5 days, you were there and you made it, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Even if I didn't ride a wagon the whole time I was there.
The kids just see them horses go by and they don't realize how big they are until they walk up and put their hands on them and they're trying to touch the underside of their belly and they're standing on the ground. But that was very special to us too, to get to do that. It was work and it was fun. So
just a tremendous way to open the 150th Iowa State Fair.
We were not supposed to be on the fairgrounds at that particular time, and they sent us in early, and we're all standing there on the street in our horses and wagons, and 4 aerial bombs go off, and had a lot of horses do a little dance routine that most of us didn't like.
Well, it took me 3 days to calm down after we got to the fair. And it took me probably 2 weeks after that to figure out what just happened. I was like, wow, we got there safely. Nobody got hurt. Well, 2 guys.
I think it's a pretty big experience to be able to make it from Fairfield all the way to Des Moines on horseback or in covered wagon, and to do that and to meet the people that, you know, from all over. It was a very fun experience for a lot of people, and a lot of once-in-a-lifetime family vacations for a lot of people.
We did it, girl! We did it!
My mom got to go, which was there 50 years ago. I got to go, and I had a son and my 2 grandsons went. So there was 4 generations in my immediate family that was there, and that was very nice to see them go into state fairgrounds.
I really didn't think Mason would ever ride in a wagon, but he enjoyed it.
I just am tickled that I got to do it 50 years ago with my parents, and I have fond memories of that, riding in the wagon with them, and I have memories this time in 2004 of my daughter going along, and we had we just had a really good time, and we spent several days at the fair after we got up there. And
it was fun. God, we had a good time.
People say, "Are you doing this again next year?" And we all shook our heads. No, we don't think so. But I think after we've had time to reflect, they're talking about maybe have a reunion of the people and get together in a year or 2 or something like that. So
we may never see all those people that we met again.
Well, that's it. You know, we won't in 50 years. I won't be around.
We've got to recruit some young kids now to do it 50 years from now. That's what I was shouting to kids along the line in the parade. It's your turn in 54 or 50 years. It'll be up to you.
If I'm able to ride in 2054, yes. You want to get that on tape and show it to me too.
I'll be glad to watch someone else do it.
Yeah, I'd be 89. Even if I have to go in a wagon, I'd go.
I know I won't be here. I hope my son is here, can go. My grandkids should be able to go, but my kids are in the 30s, late 30s, so they'll be 85 years old, so.
You'll be 109?
Yeah. If I'm alive, I'll try to go, but I got a feeling I won't be here that long. I'd like to be, but don't think I'll make it.